Hello, 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 everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We are going to begin letter 4 in the Christ letters, Jesus Christ, the truth. And I do apologize. This video is going to be very short because I went to post today's video and realized that I somehow skipped the first few pages of letter 4. So yeah, I apologize for that. So it's just a few pages long. And just as a reminder, letter 4, Christ gathers up the threads of his teachings in Palestine and says that he and Muhammad, Buddha, and all other masters have continued to develop spiritually until they have all ascended into Christ consciousness. Christ speaks of the truth of the sexual relationship, saying that the attitude between men and women will eventually change. Spiritual progress will take place, and children with new spiritual potential will be born. So that is the contents of this letter and so much more. I think you guys have figured that out by now, that even though we get a little summary of what to expect in each letter, there is so much information packed into each one, and it's just a speck of dust in the big pile that we are attempting to unpack here. So letter 4. I, the Christ, have come in my love for you to make a summary of all that I have perceived during enlightenment in the desert and tried to teach the Jews in Palestine 2,000 years ago. Some details of my earthly life have been related in letters 1, 2, and 3. If you have read these, you will know it is of the utmost importance to your well-being to understand that whilst my followers eventually created a religion they called Christianity, founded on reports of my life and teachings, I am not dictating these letters to teach and confirm what my followers have taught. Christianity is a formal religion which, purely for reasons of expediency, took on many beliefs contrary to the spiritual truth of our source of being. What was the spilling of blood to do with universal spirit? As you must now realize, my teachings from the very beginning of my mission on earth in Palestine has always been born of the highest spiritual truth of existence, having nothing to do with human concepts and rationalizations as taught by human minds. Therefore, I repeat emphatically, whilst my persona on earth 2,000 years ago was that of Jesus, the purpose of my presence, the Christ presence within these letters, is to reach sensitive and inspired souls, to teach them how to draw on divine assistance during the future horror in which the world will ultimately be embroiled. For this reason, my powerful longing to rescue those who can receive me has been crystallized in the form of truth of existence within these letters. Know this, heed it. I would have you know, and take particular note, that I came to the Jews in Palestine 70 years before Jerusalem was razed to the ground. I came to the Jews to warn them that their code of conduct would be of no value to them when the future time of travail came upon them, sending them out into a hostile world. It is recorded in a gospel that I wept in despair, lamenting the fact that I would have gathered the people as chicks beneath a mother hen's breast, to protect them in their time of destruction. But the people would not heed me. Instead, their religious leaders put me to death. But after the dispersal of the Jews, when their temple was taken from them, did they learn from their experiences? Did they wonder why such a catastrophe had overtaken them? No, they continued in their old traditions and belief in their superiority, although repeatedly historical events proved to them that they were subject to disasters, as were other people. At this very time, they have chosen to ignore the truths of existence as I taught them in Palestine, and are bringing upon themselves the self-same conditions as followed my earthly life in Palestine. No matter where they may reside, their materialistic values, their head for an eye traditions, are drawing to them the human sorrow they have created for others down the ages by their arrogance and greed. Everything they have endured, they have brought upon themselves. This also applies to those who through expediency have allied themselves with the Jews because of their financial power within world financial spheres and world markets. Who is it keeps the vast majority of the world population hungry when there is sufficient food stockpiled to feed people adequately if profit as motive for existence were abandoned? Given the will, financial leaders could formulate and embark on plans to distribute the surplus of goods to the underprivileged. If they were to do so, they would find the entire universe responding with blessings. World economy would flourish and peace would become a world condition. Before this can happen, what has already been created in consciousness and by aggressive, debased actions worldwide must first be drawn into materialized human experience, not as retribution, but as a natural working of the laws of existence. Rest assured that countries who resist the evil of others are only resisting the consequences of their own seeds of consciousness and actions in years gone by. Therefore, bully boy tactics, the ferocious attack of the mighty upon the weak, no matter how intransigent the weak may appear to be, can only bring even greater times of trouble for the bullies. Where they experienced a pinprick, they are stockpiling in consciousness the future devastation they are presently dumping on others. Perhaps they should regard the pinprick from the weak as a bugle call to alert them to their downward slide into moral decadence. Because such people are constantly breaking the laws of existence and drawing destruction of an unparalleled magnitude upon cities and earth, it is my intention in this letter not only to summarize all that I taught and lived in Palestine, but to spell out clearly the underlying causes of your approaching world crisis, which I did not cover when last I came to mankind in speech. These letters have been written prior to the most crucial time in your history, and when the travail is truly upon you, you will wonder why I did not warn you earlier. But I have to tell you, through receptive minds, I have been trying to alert the world for the past 25 years. But neither media, nor publishing house, nor TV was prepared to listen and give me the opportunity to speak to you through my agents. Politicians could reach you, but I, the Christ, could not do so because of the hardness of your hearts and your refusal to concede that I, the living Christ, could return at this time through deprogrammed and dedicated minds to warn nations of what they were creating for themselves in the future. The churches who claim to believe in my existence have been as self-absorbed in their own humanly conceived religious traditions as they have the materialists. Now, at the 11th hour, when fear has descended on the masses and they are prepared to heed my words, the doors must surely open, or again, my efforts for humanity will have been in vain. I have come to say there will indeed be a sorting of the goats from the sheep, as has been recorded in the Gospels and the Bible. The sheep refer to those souls who can peacefully receive the highest spiritual truth, yet dispensed on earth. The goats refer to those who do not have the capacity to listen to anyone or anything, because they have too great a rebellious spirit and ego drive. Why will they be separated at this time? They will be separated because those who are able to receive the truth contained within these pages and to live by the guidelines of the laws of existence will find that although the next period of world history will be bitter indeed, they will continue in comparative peace and protection, fulfillment of need, and upliftment of spirit. The goats, unfortunately, will have to endure all the horrific force of their innate rebellious consciousness. This is not a punishment from someone on high, but a natural working out of the law of existence. What you carry in your minds and hearts will eventually externalize in your body, life, and environment. When you resist and rebel, life offers resistance to you in the fulfillment of your desires. I have long since ascended to the highest frequencies of consciousness vibration in the celestial kingdom, and am divine consciousness itself individualized. My consciousness can encircle the globe to whoever calls on me. So is it with all the great teachers who have lived on earth, and were enlightened and perceived the reality of the source of all being, and have taught people from their exalted level of enlightenment. They were lifted in spiritual power to penetrate the dense veil of human consciousness and perceive what truly lay beyond the world of matter. What they saw as clearly as previous mental conditioning would permit, the basic unity of creation within the realm of creativity itself. One and all have, after transition into the next dimension of existence, escaped the treadmill of reincarnation and moved on into ever higher realms of individual pure spiritual consciousness, to the portals of universal consciousness itself. They have become individualized divine consciousness, possessing the power and the insight of divine consciousness. They too share in the Christ consciousness, as I said in an earlier letter. They combine the heights of intelligent love with the heights of loving intelligence, combining the power of will with the power of purpose. They are equally male and female in their drives. They are the perfect demonstration of strength and nurturing. They are the perfect example of what all men and women should be striving to attain. To attain to such perfection of being, the human spirit must set aside all divisions and rivalry. Whoever may be your acclaimed prophet, you can be assured that he is life itself and powerful within the brotherhood of all great teachers. Each prophet, each teacher has perceived the same reality and lived in such a prayerful way to ensure he will eventually achieve the goal of every man, perfection in paradise. It is vitally important you should understand this and realize that the divisions you make between your teachers are wholly erroneous, because we are all united in our common source of being. We are a brotherhood of beings of life, each manifesting through our individuality the highest truth of our source of being. We are equal in purity, power, beauty, grandeur of spirit, and love. Let me take a look. Okay. Therefore, the sheep of every religious persuasion, those who have sufficiently evolved in spiritual understanding of the fundamental unity in your source of being, should swiftly seek to unite in equal brotherhood in your towns and countries, and reach out and bond with your spiritual brethren worldwide, irrespective of all that is taking place in the external world. You should transcend all religious differences, Christian, Muslim, Sufi, Jew, Israeli, Palestinian, Hindu, Buddhist, etc., and regard yourselves as all being equally within the safe haven of universal love and universal intelligent protection, at peace with yourselves, with each other, and with those who are determined to fight to a finish. Only in this way will your planet survive the turmoil which lies ahead of you. I have also returned to all those who are neither Muslim nor Christian, Buddhist nor Hindu. I have come to those who desire, nay, long, to know the reality behind all existence. I have told you that I came in the persona of Jesus to the Jews in Palestine. I might well have said that I came to the Arabs in the persona of Muhammad, since Muhammad and I are of one spirit. That's quite interesting. I think what he's trying to say is that he was also an essence of Muhammad. To divide us into persona, having different names, Jesus and Muhammad or Muhammad and Jesus, is the same as giving identical twins different surnames because one teaches literature and the other teaches maths. We are both of Christ consciousness, both individualizations of divine consciousness. When on earth, we both spoke of a God of love and mercy, according to the way in which our humanity permitted us to perceive our inspired knowledge from God. You must bear in mind that we were both human beings who had been deeply conditioned by our traditional beliefs inherited down the ages. Therefore, our inspiration came to us through minds already possessed by other ideas. As I've previously told you, inspiration, unless directed into a clean, deprogrammed mind, will always take on the overtones of convictions derived from early childhood conditioning. The rational mind, which takes over when the inflow of inspiration ceases, begins to explain the new knowledge and insight in terms of what it is already accepted by the human mind. But as I have already told you, I was a rebel almost from the outset of my life and cannot accept the Judaic beliefs. I was a clean, eagerly receptive, open-minded vessel into which the truth of existence could be poured in the desert, enabling me to see universal consciousness clearly. Now, our perceptions are of the very highest order. We are of one mind, one life, one love, reaching out equally to Muslim and Jew and Christian, Buddhist, and all people, atheist or agnostic. Our only motive in calling to them is to bring them inspired, heart-changing insight, which will enable them to recognize their essential underlying brotherhood in spirit, encourage them to think new thoughts, related to each other peacefully with forgiveness in their hearts, and thereafter live their lives differently, drawing light from their source of being. We would both speak of universal consciousness to you who are living in this present scientific age, because you have traveled far into scientific understanding and can now receive what we both have to say. Together we say with one voice, heed, listen. We and you on earth are all one at the very roots of our being. Whatever destruction you hand out to others, you are also handing out to yourselves. We must make it clear that we have come to all people of good sense, goodwill, and good heart, irrespective of their present race and religious beliefs. We embrace, love, draw you all into our consciousness mantle of protection and safety. We are aware of your problems on earth at this present time. We are aware of the centuries-old conflict between Judaism and Islam. But this rift has nothing to do with us. Your squabbles leave us unmoved. Why jeopardize your own good, your own future felicity by fighting over some concept which is meaningless and therefore without value? In reality, you adhere to your chosen religions because in the depths of your heart, you are all reaching out to the source of your being, although you call your being your source of being by different names. We are both aware of the struggles of individual Jews to live a good life and of individuals of Islam to truly reverence and venerate Allah throughout the day, attributing all they do and achieve to His power working on their behalf, and of Christians immersed in their beliefs of salvation by the blood of Jesus. You are all striving to attain goodness, but will never do so whilst you remain divided by your beliefs. Once the maelstrom of the present world consciousness of mutual aggression has been fully spent, the day will surely come when Muslim, Jew, Christian, Buddhist, and Hindu will gather together, rejecting their differences in religious beliefs and mingling as one people, to give thanks to divine consciousness, out of which they have drawn their being, and from which come all future boundless blessings of beautiful, inspired, and caring lives. Together, you will rebuild on old foundations and will say, let such a thing never happen between people again, for now we know that at the roots of our existence, we are truly one. When I make you suffer, I too am lessened in divine life, and my own suffering will follow. We and the brotherhood within Christ consciousness are also fully aware of Buddhists and Hindus, followers of Tao, the spiritual adepts in the Philippines, and other sect and religious discipline in every country, which is aimed at reaching and touching, even momentarily, the equilibrium of their universal source of being. We are aware of all. You are all encompassed within our universal love, compassion, and caring. You are all important to us, irrespective of your beliefs, for you are all one at the grassroots of your being. Your souls are unified in divine consciousness. One and all, you are unified and one at soul level within your source of being. If you catch a drop of rain in the palm of your hand, can you say that because the droplet of rain has landed in your hand, and because it is separated from the rain that is falling to the ground, that the droplet is different in being chemical composition, and quality of purity or strength from the rest of the rain presently falling around you? You may touch your droplet with green dye and make it green, but can you say that the green droplet is entirely different to the rest of the rain falling at that very moment? You of good sense, goodwill, and good heart, sincere and true, will be able to reply, no, the rain is not different. It is exactly the same in quality and being as the rest of the rain. The only difference is that green or red or blue dye has been added. Therefore, it has become something more than the rain falling around us. But the droplet of rain in the palm of my hand is basically the same as the rain. Every one of you, no matter who you are, what color skin you may possess, what kind of hair adorns your head and protects it from the sun, the shape of your head or body, the language you speak, the thoughts you think, the kind of words you use, the actions and deeds you perform as a result of your beliefs and your thoughts. No matter what your physical and human consciousness differences, you are all exactly the same as each other, of the same quality, begotten of the same source of being, having the same potential in infinity, the same spiritual capacities in infinity in every respect. The only difference between every one of you, Muslim Arab, Russian Jew, American Christian, Tibetan Buddhist, Indian Hindu, are the additives which have been pumped into each of you as a result of your genetics, derived from your parentage and race, environment, family upbringing, family resources, poor or wealthy, education, and opportunities in life. But these are all superficial. They are additives masking your reality you call your soul, even as dye will mask the truth concerning the drop of water in the palm of your hand. Your soul comes directly from divine consciousness and remains itself pristine and pure and unified in divine consciousness with all other souls, despite all the additives which have covered and corroded it since birth. You must also realize that everyone is born with differing human capacities to make use of the additives pumped into them at birth. The human capacities to be utilized by each soul depend on the spiritual progress it made in previous lives. Some people climb out of deep holes of disadvantages, depression, and despair, and achieve high positions of trust and respect, wielding much influence over others. And some people fall from dizzying heights of advantage, wealth, opportunity, and talents into black holes of despair and depression, drug taking, murder, rape, and what have you. Nevertheless, for all that you have each made or not made of your opportunities or your lack of them, you all remain fundamentally and basically of the same beingness and potential. You are all able to rise up little by little from whatever spiritual level of consciousness you presently occupy to the heights of divine consciousness within the celestial kingdoms. As you accept these letters as being the truth of existence and seek daily to live the guidelines which will bring each of you into harmony and contact with that which gave you being, you will surely move towards and achieve the highest spiritual goals you have set for yourself at this present time. You can all rise to the point where you fully accept the truth. Work to purify your personal consciousness in order to absorb divine consciousness and become individuals filled with and radiating the power of divine consciousness in your immediate surroundings and eventually throughout the world. All right, I apologize. I did miss more than just a few pages, but I certainly couldn't post the beginning of letter 4 if we were really not at the beginning of letter 4. So thank you all so very much for joining me. I love you all very much. And until I see you again, take care of yourselves, take care of those around you, and I will see you for the next section of this book. Take care until then. Bye-bye.